Joe Biden says he's going to release 1 million barrels of oil from our reserves. Jay Young's a fourth-generation oil and gas professional who is an expert in this field to kind of help us on kind of putting in perspective what's about to happen. I mean, I guess we have to start with this, Jay, because this is what matters to folks who are listening. This release of 1 million barrels of oil from our strategic reserves, and that's 1 million barrels per day for the next 60 days out of our reserves. What kind of effect will that have, if any, on gas prices?
It's going to help us short term, and it's kind of like what he's done before, going back to the strategic reserves, because it's going to help. This is replacing the Russian oil that we needed, that we cut off from Russia, that was supposed to be replaced in the beginning by the Keystone Pipeline. But that's another reason why oil prices have gone up. But it will help in the short term. I'm seeing right now that oil prices aren't really they're not going down to $40 a barrel yet. They're at 100 still. So I feel like that we are. I wouldn't say putting necessarily. This is a better. I guess way to talk about or way to get prices down like Biden is doing, because he's talking about for a long term 1 million barrels. That's a lot. I mean, we need 20 million barrels of oil in the United States. We're producing 12 to 13. Well, we're having to get 7 million from other countries.
And that's a day, right? You're talking a day.
A day. Every day.
We need 20 million barrels a day, so we're going to release 1 million. That doesn't feel like we're going to have a major impact on the price here.
It doesn't. It's not. But it does help because we're not getting that oil from Russia anymore. So that's 700,000 barrels.
Here's the thing that confuses me, though, Jay. We bought that oil originally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so taxpayers paid for it. Now they're going to turn around and release it into the market, so we're going to pay for it again as gasoline, and then we're going to have to pay to fill up the reserves again at a higher price than what we bought it for originally. I mean, it feels like I'm getting screwed, Jay. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the government, right?
Yeah.
I agree, and I know, and it's all about trying to help the situation right now. But it's the strategic reserve is 600 million barrels, and it is put aside for world wars or something that's just absolutely crazy, where we can't get any oil anywhere, and just things are going crazy. So it is a good. I don't know if this is a strategic move or not to keep oil prices down. It's not going to keep oil prices down, and it's really not going to make that huge of an effect. But it is helping.
It's a quick fix, is what it is, Jade. I mean, it is a quick fix, and hoping that the markets react more than anything. Right? It's not going to be impactful as far as flooding the market with gasoline. All of a sudden, they just hope that the markets react in a positive way for the oil prices to start to come down. Here's a question for you, though, Jay. When you think about it, when you start to release this, would it not? You say we're producing 12 to 13 million barrels a day here in the U.S. How hard would it be for us to ramp up to producing 20 million barrels a day?
Well, that would be that's almost uncalled for. We won't be able to do it.
Why not? We were almost energy independent under Donald Trump. What happened? What's changed?
Well, so right before the pandemic, Saudi Arabia, Russia flooded our markets with oil at cheap oil, 40% discounts, because what they wanted to do is they wanted to drive us out of business, the oil and gas companies. And then the pandemic happened. So we were oversupplied with oil. Demand goes straight down because nobody's driving, nobody's doing anything, everybody's freaking out. So the demand goes straight down. And then, so what's happened in the last couple of years is we've never gotten back to where we were drilling for oil and gas again. Okay, so we're not supplying the United States with oil anymore, and that's the reason is because the government, has I wouldn't say shut us down. It's delaying us from drilling for oil and gas. Public institutions are not investing in oil and gas anymore, and the third reason is public companies aren't drilling like they were before because lost money before in the pandemic.
But Jay Young's with us right now, fourth-generation oil and gas professional. We're talking about the president releasing 1 million barrels of oil per day for the next 60 days out of the strategic reserves, what kind of effect it'll have on gas prices. We were also talking about production here in the U.S. and the fact that it is ramped down. Obviously, we know about the pipeline. We know this government, this administration, I should say, is not necessarily friendly to the petroleum industry. But if they today came to the oil and gas industry and said, fellas, we're going to reduce regulation. We're going to do what we can to help you. Hey, we're going to encourage public investment in your industry again. How long would it take for the U.S. to be energy independent?
Yeah, good question. Before, we produced about 14 million up to 15 million barrels of oil a day in the United States. It's because that's all our refineries in the United States can handle.
Okay.
So unless we go and put some new refineries together, we can't do it.
Which is impossible as far as regulations concerned, right? Licensing and getting CPs and things, right?
No, nobody wants that paperwork.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hundreds of millions of dollars in just paperwork. I'm assuming that if I was going to put together a refinery today.
Yeah, you know what I would do is I think I'd partner with Mexico. I think I'd build a couple of refineries in Mexico. Refine it there, and I know we have, but I mean, build a couple more and let them worry about the environmental impact, and then ship it up here.
Yeah, that's not a bad thought. Not a bad thought at all. But I tell you, we just don't have the money available to us as well. So if Biden said, okay, government regulations, state regulations, which are almost as bad as federal, some states are terrible, Colorado, Wyoming, California, but let's just go drill, and that's what I would be doing. I'd be thumping my chest and saying, hey, let's go drill for oil and gas in the United States. Well, the public institutions aren't giving us the money to do it. And also, these people in public companies like, Exxon makes $6 billion last quarter, and they spend $10 billion buying back their stock for their shareholders' benefit and putting out dividends rather than putting that money to work in the oil field.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. All right, does the governor have any say in this? Like, Jay, and you're going to help me here. I'm going to play because I'm naive to it. Could Governor Abbott say, you know what? Forget the feds. We're gonna do more in the Permian Basin. We're gonna do all we can, in Eagle Ford, wherever it is, to try to create more processes, to try to create an independence here in the state of Texas. Could we do something on our own here?
I don't know if there's anything else that we can do here besides give oil and gas companies more credits or tax credits or something else for that. But we're drilling a lot of oil and gas in Texas. I mean, we are still drilling, and I'm trying to think, is there anything else that he could do to increase our production? Because we already produce a lot. We have a lot of rigs running, obviously, here. It's not him as much unless he goes to Pioneer Natural Resources, which has already said, hey, if oil prices go to $200 a barrel, we're not going to increase our rig count. We're good.
Well, is that the leases that we hear about, or do we call BS on that? These thousands of leases that aren't being used?
Yeah, no, that's a different story. As looks like New Mexico, Colorado. There's a lot of Wyoming, a lot of federal leases that the government's saying that it's our fault, oil and gas companies' fault, because we're not drilling for oil and gas.
Is that true?
Because of these permits. Well, that's not the answer. I mean, that was BS because that doesn't mean we have the permits.
Yeah.
The permit to go drill for oil and gas. So like I said, it's the money right now that's circulating out there with institutions. It's the people on the board of these public companies, and public companies are saying, well, people don't want us to drill as much. They want us to go green, carbon fiber, EV cars and all this. So it's just for the price of oil and gas, and I write in my book, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing, that anybody can go online. But I write, and it's all about supply and demand. And it's all about we need, and I think Biden just kind of cut off his foot more than once, but he did when he said we need to quit drilling for oil in the United States.
Right. Yeah, he keeps ripping the industry, and saying, hey, we're going to get rid of them, we're going to get rid of them, we're going to get rid of them, and now we realize we need them. This is a whole theory. This is a whole conspiracy to try to eliminate the petroleum industry. You know that, don't you, Jay? This is forcing us to electric vehicles. These are environmentalists who have taken over many of these in the oil and gas business. And that's what it is. This is to drive us to these electric vehicles, among other things.
Absolutely. And Which, hey, electric vehicles are great. I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm saying that our demand for oil and gas is going to be strong for a long time, and we need oil in the United States.
There's no question.
Until we get it, this 1 million barrels a day isn't going to be the answer.
Yeah, just ask the plastics industry. Jay, thank you very much for hopping on with us. Fourth generation oil and gas professional.